Alright, I think this is going to be my first video of the year for raising moths as an interesting project you can do. And it's raining, as you can tell, so, well, I hope you can tell. I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up, but I'm actually under my umbrella right now. And these are my tomato plants. They've gotten really big. And I noticed that a cardinal had come in to this one specifically, and that he was eating something out of the tomatoes, and it was green. And you can see that I've got some baby tomatoes in here. Hold on, me. I don't have enough hands to hold everything with. But yeah, there's, whoops, like I said, a tomato there. And it was about this size of this little one, and he pulled it off and he was eating it. I was like, oh no, the birds are eating my tomatoes. But then I realized that it was long and soft and green, and he had to have been picking off the caterpillars. That means that hornworm season has started. Now the tomato or tobacco hornworm, specifically tobacco hornworm, is the caterpillar that turns into the Carolina Sphinx moth. And because I grow tomatoes, they're the most common type of moth that I get here. They do start appearing in July. And so I was looking through and trying to find ones that the birds hadn't eaten yet, because I want to raise them for myself. And I've seen indicators like that branch right there has no leaves, and the top has been totally bitten off, which means a caterpillar was there. This one has damage as well. And I tried to pick them off before the caterpillars can get to them. Or the caterpillars get big, because once they get big, they're really hard to, they can really do some damage. But I was looking and looking, and they're really difficult to find because they are perfectly camouflaged. But I finally found a medium-sized one, and he's right there. And I'm hoping that it hasn't been parasitized, and I'm going to take this guy inside, and I'm going to raise him, set up the tanks again this year, and hopefully he'll turn into a beautiful hummingbird moth, and will become a pollinator for the rest of my plants out here. So let me get my little bucket that I just dropped and put him in there. Okay, let's see if we can grab him. These guys can hang on really tight, but I've done this so much I know how to get their feet off. Their back legs on the tail are the hardest to get off because they have all those little hairs. I almost got him. There we go. Nice caterpillar, medium sized to get a lot bigger. And I'll put him in there. And I'll keep searching, but I don't see any others. The birds probably got them already. There's good and bad. I might tent these because the point of planting the ones in the side yard are specifically for the moths. Now I only managed to find one caterpillar, which is the one you saw earlier. This is a medium-sized critter cage. You can get these at any pet stores. I recommend getting the large size though, because tomato leaves, as you can see here, are pretty tall, and when you put it inside, it doesn't really fit. Luckily, though, the leaves can be bent, so if you only have a medium one, you can still cover it. Here's the caterpillar that I found. Take him out of the bucket. He's really nice. And I'll put him at the bottom because I don't want to squish him when I put the lid on. And now we take the lid and cover up. It's really important that you don't put a screen on here. You gotta have the lid that comes with the critter cage because it snaps shut, and you don't want your caterpillars to escape, because if they get out when they're too young like this, they can die from starvation. And if they get out when they're older and they turn into cocoons somewhere, which is unlikely because these guys need to be in soil, but I have had it happen with butterflies that I've raised, that they've escaped right before they go into chrysalis, and then one day there's a butterfly flying around the house. finding hornworms in your garden doesn't mean that they have to be your enemies. These do turn into very nice moths. They are in the Sphinx moth family, also called hawk moths or hummingbird moths, and they become really beneficial pollinators. In this way, I can choose what leaves I want them to eat instead of them going out there and damaging my plants. And it's interesting to note that they're also called Sphinx moths because earlier you may have seen when he was on the plant, he was standing with his head upright, and it kind of looks like the Sphinx statue from Egypt. They get into that little pose. So we'll see how this goes, and hopefully that I'll find a few more, and we'll have some moths to release later on in a few more weeks.